that. Now we're going to go ahead and bring up our three mayoral candidates. We've got Ernie Penn, Diane Bryant, and Jared Fraley. Mayor Penn, if you want to, I'll let you go ahead and walk up to the podium and
Thanks, sir.
all right. Ernie Penn, why are you running for mayor again?
Well, I guess I can say what everybody else has said about loving Farmington. I grew up here. My family was from here, and my mother was a school teacher and librarian in the great school of Farmington. And so I've had a passion to give back to my hometown and be a dedicated public servant. Being your mayor is a very great honor and a responsibility that I take it very seriously. For the past 20 years, I've worked hard to serve all of our citizens and conduct our business with integrity, transparency, and open communication. This is an important time for our city, as we have several major projects in process that I have the proven leadership, knowledge, and expertise to get finished. Just to name a few: the Highway 170 expansion project, the water and sewer contract negotiations with the City of Fayetteville, the Creekside Trail connection to the Greenway and additional phases of the Creekside Park, and at some point in time, we're going to have to look to expand the sewer to the west side of Farmington. With that, I'm done.
Excellent. Thank you, sir. Diane, if you want to come to the podium. Diane Bryant is currently on the city council and is running for mayor. And Diane?
Yes, and thank you, Chamber, for having us tonight, and thank you all for taking time out of your busy schedules to join us in this forum. Why do I want to be mayor? Well, Farmington is my home, and I love it here. And I have a vision for doing great things for this community. I'll give you a little bit of my background. I am a third-generation Arkansan, and my grandfather, who I never met, he died years before I was born, he was in the Arkansas House of Representatives and the Arkansas Senate. So I've got a little, I'm invested in this state. My roots run deep, so to speak. I grew up in North Little Rock, graduated from North Little Rock High School, attended the University of Arkansas. I graduated with a degree in elementary education and a minor in library science. And I was a school librarian for the majority of my career. But enough about me. I want to contribute to the growth of Farmington in a positive way. And Farmington does have a special place in my heart. I've lived in larger cities, but I love the small town feeling. I really do. And people in my church, and I run into the grocery store, and it's nice to get to know people and have a connection with them. But someone said to me recently that Farmington is just a satellite of Fayetteville. We are not a satellite community of Fayetteville. And why? It really has to do with our local schools. Our high schools, the sports bring a lot of people together, and we have dads in suits and dads and overhauls that come together in our schools, and they're rooting for their daughters and their sons. And it's not just sports; it's the debate team, or it's the high school play. They're there to support them, and that's just one element of our camaraderie here. Another one is our churches. At least for my church, when I go there, there's a sense of belonging and acceptance, and we have, I believe, 11 churches in our community, and I think they all offer that sense of camaraderie. And there are other things that bring us together as a community. We have a fall festival coming up next week. Hope you all can attend. We have a church. We have a Christmas tree lighting that's going to be the 1st of December, and our annual Christmas parade, and also we'll be giving out daffodil bulbs at our fall festival. So those things unite us: our sports, our kids, our churches, and all our community events.
Excellent. Thank you, Diane. Jared? I'll have you come to the podium for that question, and then when you're done, stick around, and I'll have another one. We'll kind of shuffle the order back and forth.
No problem.
Jared, I'd ask you, what's convinced you to run for mayor?
That's a great question, and thank you for having me tonight, and thanks to Farmington High School for hosting this event. I come here because I want to bring this community back together. It's a great place to live, but we're starting to split. We're starting to get away from communicating with each other. We're not listening in the places we need to be listening. We're feeling like we're not represented any longer in the places we need to be represented. Folks, y'all vote us into office to represent you. Not to represent the builders or the developers out there, but you. And when you come to us with an issue or a concern, we should listen and work with you. We have a citizen in this community for over 60 years. She's worked her land, hunted that land, grown crops on that land. The developer comes in, wants to build a new neighborhood. Great new tax revenue for the city. Yeah. We're all going to make money, right? Except they decide to dump and drain on this person's land. She goes to city meetings. Hey, this is what's happening. She's not listened to. She goes to the engineers. Yeah, we'll take care of that. But it's not done. She goes to the developer. You get in my way from raising money, from making money. You stop me from doing this and I'll sue you. And I will win, he tells her. Folks, that's not Farmington. That's not Farmington at all. And when they file a lawsuit, they darn sure shouldn't be filing it against the city alongside with developers. Our city deserves better. We deserve to represent our citizens. We need to listen to the citizens. This isn't an isolated event, folks. New citizen, tenured citizen, you're hearing the same complaints over and over again. Nobody's listening to us. I'm here to listen to you. I'm here to represent you. I'm here for resolve. We should all work together. This is our city. It's a beautiful city. But we need to monitor this growth, this outrage of growth that is reckless, and make sure that our schools don't get too much growth ahead of them so that our classrooms can't get overfilled. We start losing fine educators like the many that we have in our school systems now. So I want to listen. I want to be here for resolve. And I want to earn your vote, not ask for it. Ask for it sounds like those guys at the corner of MLK and 62 right now. No, I'm here to earn your vote and go to work every day to earn it and maintain that.
Thanks, Jared. And stay put. I think I could probably guess what your answer will be to this next question, but what do you see as the biggest issue that faces our community,
Well,
and if elected, how would you plan to address it?
Well, it's community involvement. We have got to learn to communicate with each other. Transparency is the start of that. We need to be able to open up to meetings, and we need to challenge our residents to get involved back again. Come to these meetings. On Monday, our city council meeting lasted 15 minutes to discuss a month of issues. 15 minutes, folks. It shouldn't be a timed event. This should be something we're open up to. We should show achievements to the citizens. Bring them in. Make them welcome to these meetings. You vote us in. We represent you. Nobody else. But it takes both sides, and we're going to need to challenge the residents to re-engage with the city again. We will be open. We will be open if you make a change, but the change is now. You have an opportunity, but your vote is your voice, and you need to come voice it. Come October 24th, early voting period beginning. Make your voice heard, guys. Thank you.
Thanks, Jared. Mayor Penn, I'll invite you back to the podium. And I will ask you the same question. What do you see as the biggest issue that is currently facing Farmington? And if reelected, how would you plan to address it?
Well, surprise, surprise, there's going to be managing growth. Isn't that amazing? In the past 3 years, we've seen a tremendous residential growth in our city, as everybody knows, along with some commercial development. We've been experiencing a generational, once-in-a-lifetime turnover from a farming and agricultural community where the land is now being sold and developed by the heirs who no longer wish to farm. Growth is always hard. It's always going to be hard when you have a change. The growth pattern has been a trend in all the cities in northwest Arkansas, such as the traffic. There's no place that you can go in northwest Arkansas where the traffic is calm and you can get where you want to in a very timely manner. Our city has to be financially prepared within our budget so that we can continue to provide those services that are required and needed by our citizens. I'm going to have to take a little drink. Sorry. We have to, as Jeff and Kara said, we have to continue to provide police protection. Since I've been the mayor here at the city of Farmington, our police department has grown from 5 officers to 20 officers, 20 officers, which includes 2 resource officers for the school. Our fire protection. When I became mayor, we had 1 full-time fire chief, Mark Cunningham, and volunteers, about 25 volunteers. Right now, we have 10 full-time firefighters since I become mayor, and we have 24-hour coverage along with an additional 25 volunteer firefighters. We have code enforcement. We need to have buildings. We have building inspections. We have street and drainage maintenance. We have animal control, and we also have parks and recreation. You know, the thing that is, you know, everybody likes to blame somebody for the shortcomings, but when you find out about how a city operates and the process that you have to take to operate that city, it takes several people, and it takes a tier of people and volunteers and people who get elected to other positions. One of the things that we have in our growth is that we have the role of our planning commission. And those people, there's 8 really strong folks that's on that planning commission. And they do a tremendous job. They have 2 meetings a month. They have 1 work session, and they have 1 regular planning commission meeting. That work session, they talk about issues. They talk about people that have questions about our community or what's happening in our growth pattern. And they try to make some good decisions when they have their regular meeting. The planning commission makes those decisions based upon the guidelines and the rules and the regulations that is adopted by our city council. So therefore, even though you like to blame the mayor, and that's fine because I get blamed for a lot of things that I have nothing control over, but that's okay. I'm used to it. So, but you have to understand the process, and you have to understand the city council adopts the rules and regulations that we have to follow. And I have no problem with that. They do a good job. And we have the right to disagree, and we do disagree once in a while. But that's okay. And as far as people coming to our meetings are open. They're publicized. There's plenty of time for them to be here. And yes, we did have a 15-minute council meeting last Monday night, and it was 3 issues with the fire department. And so the goal is if we do our job up front and we provide that documentation to the council members, it doesn't take them very long to make decisions. So I'm going to stand by that pattern. When we need to talk about things, we have no problem with doing that. And I was to say a couple of things with the growth. The Highway 170 project. Well, you know, it's my fault because it hadn't been done. Well, that's okay. You can blame me. But I've been in contact with the department head of the RDOT, and Ms. Lori, can't think of her last name, but anyway, Lori Tudor, she called me last week and talked about the process. And she is now involved, and she is the head of RDOT. And the governor's office has made a few phone calls and also called me about what's happening, and so they are now involved. The only reason we do not have Highway 170 is because of Washington Water Authority. That's the only reason, because they will not move their lines. We've got all of the other utilities have been moved. The city has acquired all of the right-of-way, and so we're ready to rock and roll. We've got the money allocated to the city through the highway department. They're going to pay for half of it, and the other part we've got grants already is about $5 million in grants that's been given us to the federal highway department. So federal highway. So we've got all that done. Second thing is, I know I'm running fast. Water and sewer contract with Fayetteville. Okay, so we get notification, not very much notification, that says, oh, by the way, we're going to have a new rate study done, and we have a new rate study, and here's what y'all are going to be paying. I get that document. It's 64 pages long. Have y'all ever read a 64-page document? I don't like to. I sure don't want to. But here's the issue. And so I got to looking at that, and so I went to a Fayetteville City Council meeting and said, guys, we, this doesn't work, for us. And so I looked at that document for 2 weeks and analyzed the financials of that document, and I found several errors that was in that document. They were just providing that document because the city of Fayetteville had given the numbers. So sure, and they're paying them the bill. So anyway, I wrote a memo to all the council members in Fayetteville, told them exactly what I found out and what documents, the disagreements that I have. And so when we attended the next Fayetteville council meeting, they agreed to extend the deadline to making the decision on that document to December 13th. Don't know if it's going to happen then either. So the city of Farmington does not have a contract with the city of Fayetteville right now, and until we get the changes made that will benefit our citizens and not raise their rates, we won't have one. So,
Thank you, Mayor Penn.
thank you.
Diane, I'll invite you back to the podium.
Can you all hear me okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
Diane, what do you see as the biggest issue facing Farmington? And if elected as mayor, how do you plan to address that issue?
Well, as everything is, there are either good things and bad things about everything. We have growth, and that is a good thing, but it also has bad things about it. One of the things that I notice the most is the traffic along Highway 62 in the morning. That is a state highway, but I will work my darndest to see if we can't time those street lights to make it much more convenient for people to drive through the city. And I've spoken with the Arkansas Department of Transportation, and they said we did have the rights to improve the street lights along Main Street. And one of the things I've noticed was we have sidewalks on both sides of the street, I think, along Main Street, and those sidewalks have not been cleared off. They're overgrown with grass. There's only about this much space that you can walk on, and the rest is grass. So I talked to RDOT and said, is there any problem with us cleaning off those sidewalks so it makes it much more convenient for our citizens to walk or bike? And they don't have a problem with that at all. So that's going to be one of the first things I will undertake. The Highway 170 project has been tied up. We hope to move that along as quickly as we can. I think time is money in that respect. We don't want the price to continue to accelerate even though we have grant money. So anyway, I think, like I said, to me, the most important thing that I will take on the first day on the job is to time those street lights so people can get to work effectively and not have to stop and start and stop and start and stop. And I think there's 7 street lights people have to stop at.
And
Thank you.
don't run off yet. I've got one more question for you
Okay.
while you're here.
All right.
What would you say makes you the best or most qualified candidate for mayor of Farmington?
Well, one, I really love this city, and I love the people that live in this city, and I want to do the best for the people in this city. Also, I've been on the council now, I think, for 8 years, and I was on the quorum court for about, I think 14 months. There was a vacancy, and I was appointed for that position. So I kind of have an understanding of the city and the county perspective. I've been involved with the Municipal League. Now, for those of you that don't know, there's a Municipal League in Little Rock, and they are our advocates for cities and in towns. They do things for us. Like, one of the primary things they do is they are there every day when the legislature is in session to make sure that bills that are favorable to our cities get passed, and that those bills that are not favorable to our cities do not get passed. And so they really protect our cities in many, many ways. And there's things like legal advice, health insurance, and other things like that. Plus, I've taken, and I've had an advantage during COVID to do a lot of Zoom conferences, but I've taken more than 21 hours with the Municipal League. I've had classes in finance, budgeting, web design, cybersecurity, planning and zoning, human resources, leadership, and one of the most important things is the American Rescue Plan. Our city got $750,000 last year, $750,000 this year. That's $1.5 million. That's out there. That's some money that we really need to put to a good purpose. The federal government says it should go to things like sewer, water, broadband, and there might be some wiggle room there, but we do need to have a plan in place by the end of '24 and then have the plan completed by the end of '26. So those are some things in my background that I think will be helpful. Thank you.
Thank you. Jared, would you like to come back to the podium? And I'll ask you the similar question. What makes you the best candidate for Farmington mayor?
Sure. It's going to be my ability to bring people back together again, re-engage the city. I also want to bring events into Farmington along with resolve. There was some resolve issues we need to do towards Valley View, and I see it as an opportunity to work hard regionally with other cities to try to bring this resolve to them. I want to bring events to Farmington. Our children are 24% of our population according to the 2020 census. We need to make events and it be children driven so that they can enjoy this city and learn to love it the way that we all did as kids growing up. So this city needs children involvement. It needs to bring parents together. I hear a lot about new Farmington and old Farmington, and I've gotten the opportunity of meeting both and getting to know both, and we have some wonderful, wonderful residents, both new and older citizens, but they need an opportunity to meet each other. And I just feel like I can do that and bring these events together by listening and interacting and bringing re-engagement to the city.
All right, thank you, sir. Mayor Penn, I'll invite you back to the podium as well. And I'll have this question, and then I'll have an additional question for you, so don't run off in between.
Okay.
What makes you the best or most qualified candidate for Farmington mayor?
Well, I'll tell you a little bit about me for some of you that probably don't know. I graduated from the University of Arkansas with a bachelor's degree in business management. I've been mayor. I've had a 20 years experience as mayor. Those terms were split the first time I ran for mayor. I was elected, and then due to two business commitments, I couldn't serve a second term, but I did serve on the city council for 2 different terms. And then I was reelected in 2007, and I've been the mayor since then. I've got 42 years of banking, finance, and real estate experience. And I want to just say this, the office of mayor is not a ceremonial position. It's a professional position. We're running a city here that has 5 different departments, and this year we'll have a $6.5 million budget. So it takes someone that has a huge background in different areas, and I will say this, my financial background has been a huge blessing to our city because we are financially solvent. We have excellent reserves. We don't have to worry about payroll. If we have a project that needs to be funded, and we can get it funded. So we've got those funds available, and the reason we do that is because I've always budgeted very conservatively. I don't believe you go out there and spend all the money that you get from your sales tax, and then you come back and say, oh gosh, we didn't have money back for this plan. So we've always done that. But I think the mayor's skills, you need to have someone with leadership, business management, financial management, contract negotiations, communications, and a commitment and dedication. I'm the board member on Central EMS. I'm a board member of Northwest Arkansas Regional Planning Commission, a member of the Municipal League, a member of the Chamber of Commerce, and also a member of HAMRIC. So, like I said, Farmington is my hometown. You know, I've got a vested interest in here. My family's here. My kids went to school here. And so I think everybody has that same tie-in. But as far as being the mayor, it's a professional position, folks. You just don't wake up one day and say, oh, I'm going to be mayor. Or I want to be mayor. It's a professional position, and that's the way it needs to be treated.
All right, and the last question that I'll have for you, sir, are there any specific points of your platform or other things that you would like the voters to know?
Well, when you look at what the definition of the duties of a mayor and in the documentation that they have through the Municipal League, the mayor's responsibility is to keep the government running smoothly, enforce the city ordinances, and make sure the residents receive the maximum benefits and services for their tax dollars. And I think I've done a good job of that. We've got a lot of amenities. Just some of the things that we've done is we've always budgeted very conservatively, and we're managing a $6.5 million budget. We have 5 city departments, and we have 48 employees. Like I said, on the fire department, we have 10 full-time, and police, we have 20 full-time. And we will continue with the commitment from the city council. We'll continue to fund those departments and make sure the citizens don't have to worry about protection. And so that's been a goal always from day one. And we need to have excellent cash reserves, which right now we have enough in our reserve account for not only other funding projects, but we have 6 months in reserves of operating capital. And I guarantee you, if you go do a little research from some of these other small cities that have joined us here in Washington County, they don't have that kind of money sitting in their reserve account. So I think we've done a good job of managing our funds. And since I've been in office, I just want to say a few things about the projects we've gotten completed. First year I was in office, we got the Farmington Senior Center built. We got the Broyle Street expansion done, and the bonds are paid off early. We built the Farmington Sports Complex with 6 baseball and softball fields. The bonds were, we did a sales tax, and it was a 6-year bond, and we paid off those, the sales tax paid off those bonds in 3.5 years and expired. We have the Farmington Public Library. I was able to buy a piece of property that was available. It used to be Brudeau's Pizza. And if you can remember that building, but where the Farmington Library is right now. But we bought a $550,000 piece of property for $330,000. And so we were able to move our public library out of an old City Hall building into a new building, and we did a remodel after that. Just recently, in the last 2 years, we did another remodel. We added on 1,100 square feet, and if you've been to our library, it's one of the nicest libraries in Washington County. We started with Creekside Park. I was able to, people that I had contacts with, the owners of that land, over the period of 10 years, they donated us 67 acres for our park. And so we've achieved Creekside Park Phase 1 and 2, and I know most of y'all have been to our Creekside Park. We also have an 18-hole disc golf course, and we'll do Phase 3 and 3, 4, and 5 in the future as money allows us. We also built a new public works building, which has been needed for a long time. It's 10,200 square feet, and I guarantee if you haven't seen it, you need to go look at it. We need to do some economic development, or I have been doing some economic development, and I'm not at liberty to say who, but there's a famous chicken place that is looking very seriously at Farmington, and they are going to be coming out here with their real estate division next month. And just talk about the Highway 170 project. I think I think I alluded to that earlier, so I don't want to say that again. But the only reason we do not have that project completed is because of WWA not moving their lines.
All right. Thank you, sir. I'll ask you to switch spots with Diane. We'll bring her.
Okay. Thank you. Thanks, everybody, and I appreciate your vote.
Diane, last question for you. Are there any specific points of your platform or other things you would like the voters to know?
Yes, definitely. Well, I think I've already mentioned that I'd like to improve the traffic along Highway 62, our main street. And I would like to clean off our sidewalks on Main Street. People drive through our town and they see that those sidewalks aren't cleared off. And I believe that as soon as we clear it off, we're really going to improve the appearance along Main Street. I'd like to make Farmington a walkable city. This may be a long-range plan, and I don't know that we have the money for it, but I'd like to see more sidewalks in our community, particularly the older neighborhoods. They don't have it, and it would just be great if we could get out and walk and make our city walkable, particularly when it comes to areas that are close to schools and our children have to walk to school. I do want to emphasize, I will maintain financial stability. I realize that we need 6 months of our budget in reserve, so that's $3 million right there that we can't touch. We have to keep it there for for reserves, and just in case we have a major crisis, that like maybe we did with COVID. One thing I'd like to propose is a dog park. I think we could do that. I think a lot of people want it, and I don't think it'd be very expensive. And also, I'd like to see us have a splash pad. I think a lot of people would like that. Particularly, we have a lot of families that have young children, and I think they would really enjoy that. That won't be cheap. So exactly how the numbers run, I can't predict that at this point. And before I did anything, I would want to survey the people in our community. Do you want a dog park? Do you want a splash pad? And let's go from there for what the people want. I'd like to have a monthly newsletter that would come out. It'd be on our website every month. And maybe we could get the Enterprise Leader to print it in their newspaper, or it could just be on some of our local Facebook pages. One thing I want to do is I want to hold builders accountable. There's a subdivision around here that's recently built, and there's a cemetery that's on that property. The builder has agreed that he would keep it mowed and maintained and all that. It has not been done. The grass is high, the fence around it, some of the boards are out of it, and the tombstones. The tombstones are over. They're laying on the ground. That is disrespectful to the people that are there, our deceased ancestors. So I will make builders be accountable for what they do and they say, and not let them kind of get away with not keeping their word about what they're going to do. I'd love to see, now this is a pie in the sky thing, but I'd love to see a trail that starts at Creekside Park and goes along the creek. The creek kind of goes, north and west, kind of intersection with the Double Springs area. And from there, it could go further west on Goose Creek, and we could end up with a trail that goes from our town all the way to Prairie Grove and maybe beyond. And I can tell you that it'll be 100 times better than the Greenway trails, because it'll be all nature, it'll be creeks, there'll be cows grazing and stuff like that. The other trail, the Greenway trail, and I've taken it, and I did take a spill right by Chick-fil-A, the chicken restaurant I think he was referring to, because you weave in and out of buildings and in restaurants and homes. So I think this trail, and it won't be cheap, I can tell you that. It's $1 million a mile to build a trail, and we don't have that kind of money in our bank account. But I think it would be something that would be an asset to our community. It's a long-range plan. We might just do 1 mile a year or something. I don't really know. Another thing I think we could do, and this would not cost very much money, is to have, with Kessler Mountain, on the east side of our town is Kessler Mountain. I'd love for us to have a trailhead. And, it might just be you go on gravel roads to get there, and you might just park in a gravel parking lot. But once we get there, it wouldn't be very much to create a trail that links to all the other trails that are on Kessler Mountain. So those are just some of the things I'd like to see us do. Some of them would be expensive, some of them not so much so, but I think those are things our citizens would like. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Diane. Jared, I would invite you back to the podium. And in closing for us tonight, sir, are there any specific points of your platform or other things that you would like voters to know?
Well, I think, it comes back to you're the people that will make the choice. If you're happy with the way things have been, you have your candidate. You have your guy if you like the way it is right now. But if you want to open up to change, open up to being heard, open up to new ideas, this is your chance. We can do things like parks, aquatic parks, dog parks, botanical gardens for our seniors. We'd love to see us get more involved with our seniors, but there's going to need to be some issues resolved before we can really jump into anything big. We need some annexation. A little bit to the west would be nice. Prairie Grove and Fayetteville are gobbling us up, and we need to defend ourselves when it comes to that. Farmington, this is your chance. We say that it takes years and years of experience, but we had a bank leader that didn't pick up on an embezzlement of over $1.5 million just in 2017. Don't get too caught on experience, because it can backfire on you. Folks, now's the time to change. I'm asking to consider all the alternatives. I want to work for your vote. I want to earn it. And if you want to ask any other questions, if this didn't give you enough time, or if you want to meet face to face, I'll be at the flagpole out front. We have a beautiful school. I'll be glad to talk with everybody at that time and stay as long as you need me to. Thank you.
All right. That concludes the mayoral section. Let's appreciate our candidates. We're a little bit ahead of schedule, so your candidates are here and are your representatives. They're, I'm sure, happy to talk to you, answer questions, and meet you. But I'll go ahead and close us out. Josh, thanks for your leadership at the Chamber. Josh has been our president for several years. I'm relatively new, I guess a little bit over a year as the vice president. Our goal as the Farmington Chamber of Commerce is to bring value to the citizens and help with the economic development front and bring value to our local business owners. So appreciate our candidates, appreciate the school for hosting us, and thank you all for being here today. Have a good evening.